You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Coming to you live from the state of Virginia. Whether you're a summer beach lounger, a full mountain hiker, a poolside wine sipper, or rooftop oyster slurper, Virginia's got something for every type of lover. Even a podcast called This Interdimensional IRSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast.
Where the lovers at? Yeah.
Where are
Throw
they
your
at?
hands up if you're
Now-
if you're a lover.
We wanted to let everybody know who's listening that all of those words, every single last word that I said, are straight from the Virginia Tourist Bureau website.
Yeah.
Virginia is for lovers.org/state motto.
I was like, what's a good Virginia opening? I bet somebody's already been paid to work on this. So yeah, visit Virginia. Virginia is for everyone. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Interdimensional RSS. My name is Travis. That, of course, is Brandon. We're so happy to be here. So excited to be with you for another week. Finally getting into our flow, getting into our normal rotation where we have to stay up late on a Sunday night to watch the episode and then scramble to find time in our busy Monday schedule to potentially rewatch or at least recall moments from the episode as we scrape together an outline and bring to you a show that we like to call Interdimensional RSS. So happy to be here. If you are new here, you just found us this season, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Whether you're watching online over on youtube.com/apathetic enthusiasm, or whether you have downloaded this podcast on your podcatcher of choice. If you want to follow us all over the social internet, you can follow us on X over at Rick and Morty Pod, facebook.com/Rick and Morty Podcast. We're on Instagram, Rick and Morty Pod or Rick and Morty Podcast, dealer's choice there. If you have some wild theories, some ideas about what might happen in season 7, send us an email, rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com, or join thousands others out on the subreddits. You can go to rickandmorty.reddit.com. Don't forget you can get the cold opens 2 days early only at rickandmorty.reddit.com. You can visit our subreddit, rickandmortypodcast.reddit.com. It's not quite as awesome, but I mean, you can go. It's fine. You can share your thoughts there as well.
We haven't been there in years, so
Yeah, no,
let us know how it is.
I think I get mod emails occasionally. Anyway, our website, rickandmortypod.com. As I mentioned, we're on YouTube. You can like and subscribe over there. But a big thanks to all the patrons over at patreon.com/apathetic enthusiasm who continue to support this show as well as all of our other podcasts. That's it. That's all the intro stuff. Brandon, you're here. You're ready. You're fired up. I have done 90% of the talking. How the heck are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. I'm really, really excited.
I'm sold.
I don't feel like you are sold in how excited I am. I feel like if anything, I didn't sell it nearly enough. I think you got it at a discount. I think you got my excitement.
That's right. So
Far
end
less
of year clearance sales on enthusiasm.
It's Veterans Day on Brandon's Excitement Sale. Which is next week, by the way. If you're a U.S. based listener.
Shout out to all the veterans, whoever you may be. So
yeah. Please make sure you go out to Cracker Barrel for their discount. There's a whole list of restaurants that you can get discounts at. You can probably Applebee's. By the way, Applebee's right now has like Dollarita.
Dollarita, it's back. Not a sponsor.
It's back.
But
the other
Applebee's hit us up. Nobody else wants to sponsor this show. Maybe Applebee's. We could sling Dollaritas while we
I didn't know Dollarita was happening, Travis, the other day, and my coworkers like, "Hey, Brandon, you want to go to lunch with us?" I was like, "Oh, they're asking me to go to lunch. That's cool. Yeah, I'll go to lunch with you. Where are you guys going?" Applebee's. And I
suddenly remembered I have anything else to do.
I laughed at him. And then I was like, no, I shouldn't laugh at them. I should. They invited me. I should go. And so I went separate from them. They walked there. I ended up driving there a couple minutes later. And then I walked in the door, and there's a big sticker on it that says Dollaritas are back. I was like, oh, that's why. Now we're eating lunch. Lunch is okay. Dollaritas, very syrupy, right? They're dollars. You know, there's probably no alcohol in it. Probably like an eyedropper full of alcohol. And the I ended up paying for everybody at the table. So there's like four people, and I was like, they're dollar margaritas. Of course I'll pay for them. It's like this is if there's a time for me to pay for everybody, this is gonna be it. And they're like, if I knew that you were going to pay for this, we would have taken you somewhere else. And I said, it wasn't my decision to go to Applebee's. It was your decision. You wasted it. Anyways, and the waitress was right, like two two tables down, and she heard me, and I feel kind of bad about that. But also, you work at Applebee's. I mean, you're not
work
like
at
working,
Applebee's.
You're not like working at like a TJ's Steakhouse. I don't even know if that's a place, but it sounds nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not like a Little Bits.
Yeah, which by the way, they tip great at Little Bits. Don't let the name just throw you off. They tip big.
Speaking of Little Bits, I think it's time for us to get into our very first segment, which we lovingly refer to as semi-pertinent news.
Semi-pertinent news. Semi-pertinent news. Yeah, let's get into this, Travis. Semi-pertinent news this week. I think this is a big thing. This is a big piece of news right now. You wrote it here you wrote it here in the show notes. That's right. There's a new show coming out by Dan Guterman. It's called Carol and the End of the World. It's premiering over on Netflix with 10 episodes on December 15th. Dan Guterman, as you may or may not know, was a writer on Rick and Morty for three of the 7 seasons that we're now in.
Yeah.
And so go ahead and check that out. Just throwing that out there. It was announced by Deadline Hollywood on the 26th of October. But yeah, Dan Guterman, new series, limited edition, over on Netflix, December 15th.
Netflix. All episodes streaming on one day, or do you got to wait?
Well, it doesn't say that we have to wait, so I'm assuming it's all bing bang boom.
They're mixing up the algorithm over there on the Netflix. I'm just saying.
That's right. But let's not linger on that, because we have even bigger news.
Possibly the biggest and least pertinent news of all.
The Dan Harmon Social Media Minute.
You don't skip the actual news. If you are a fan of Adult Swim, if you grew up watching Adult Swim, then I'm sure you know about this series. This is really one of Adult Swim's original animated series. Aqua Teen Hunger Force is back with a brand new season. It's premiering Sunday, November 26th at 11:30. And the classic crew, they're all back. You got Master Shake, Frylock, Meatwad, all the greats. They're coming back for this new season. 15-minute episodes, as you're used to. Only 5 new episodes, but I mean, hey, it's better than a French fry in your eye. Am I right? Huh?
You're not wrong. In fact, you're right.
I'm as right as I ever was. But anyway, yeah. So if you love Aqua Teen, and Carl, then go check out a new season starting November 26th.
This might be my chance, Travis, to jump into Aqua Teen Hunger Force, right? As it
you never watch Aqua Teens back in the day?
I tried
late on the weekend.
I tried to. It's kind of like the Tim and Eric. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome show, great job. Like, where it's like if you don't jump on it at the right time, you don't really know what's going on, and you don't get the humor. And I think that's the ATHF kind of sits with me, where like I didn't jump into it at the right time. Same thing with like C Lab 2020, where like it just didn't hit at the right time. I wasn't there. And so this might be a good time for me to like jump in and be like, okay, let's
Maybe. Or
maybe
just start from the beginning. Jump on Max, where you can probably stream all of the previous content.
yeah.
I can't confirm that, but maybe it's there. Most
Maybe
of the
that's right, man.
other Adult Swim stuff is there.
So now I'm gonna take a step. I'm gonna take it a step back, Travis, and I'm
Bring it
going
back.
to talk about other semi-pertinent news that is not the Dan Harm Social Media Minute, but is in fact a different show that has come out. It is Loki season 2, which was which was brought to TV. The first season was by Michael Waldron, who was working on Rick and Morty, whole multiverse type of stuff, Loveness as well. He wasn't having anything to do with Loki. He's a Quantumania, but Loki season 2 is out there. Michael Waldron. I think he's probably moved on, but
Yeah,
anyways,
critics are calling
that's
it the most confusing show on television.
Are you the critic that is saying
Yeah,
that?
I'm the critics. Me and the guy I talked to at work.
And me, as we talked about this morning, like, what is that? Did I miss something? I feel like I
you
missed
know what's happening? Here's my synopsis. Here's my hot take on Loki season 2. I like it, I do, but I feel like whoever is editing the previously on Loki, whoever's doing those is capturing the wrong information. like if I'm 3 episodes in and I don't remember who Renslayer is, like you gotta give me some of those tidbits. And maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's my fault for not binge watching all of season 1 immediately before starting season 2. Maybe that's on me.
Well, so this is a Rick and Morty podcast, but since we talked about semi-pertinent news, the Renslayer, okay, but like the one Brad guy, I was like, who? But I think that's true, right? Like Supernatural, a lot of these other shows that are like previously on, it gives you basically a spoiler for what that episode is about and who you're going to experience and who you're going to find and what the theme of the episode is. And so I tend to try to skip those because I don't want to know what happened previously. I don't want
Sure.
them to lead me up to it. I want to know what the story is. And well, that shot me in the foot for Loki season 2, episode 2, because I had no idea who some of these people were. Anyways, okay. Anyways, getting away from that, let's talk about the actual Travis Dan Harmon Social Media Minute.
Dan Harmon's on the internet. It's Dan Harmon Social Media Minute. This is the only thing he's posted since our last recording. Of course, at Dan Harmon over on Instagram. This was posted 4 days ago as of this recording, so that would have been the 26th, and it's a movie clip. It's very short, and there is no caption. I believe this is from the film The Aviator.
Okay.
And it's a mother speaking to their son, saying, "You are not safe." And then a plane engine roars, and there's like a guy with like a chalkboard. I don't understand this post at all. I have not seen the film. I don't understand what's going on personally in Dan Harmon's life. I don't know if there's some internet meme that's happening, but this is the only thing he's posted. So that is why it's being featured as the Dan Harmon social media. I don't get it. I don't get it, Dan. I'm sorry.
I don't get it. My brother got married and we went to a bachelor party and we went to karaoke and somebody was gonna sing "Creep" by Radiohead, and when the young woman got up to sing "Creep" by Radiohead, it was like dun, 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 right, and it goes through the thing, and then she starts singing, and we're like, and me and my older brother are like, okay, all right, they're gonna do "Creep," and that's my younger brother's actual karaoke song, right? So I was like, okay, all right, cool. And then it goes into the verse. Somebody once told me the world is gonna, and she sings All Star, the entire song, and the crowd roared. They loved it. My older brother was so pissed off, he didn't get it. Me and my other brother were cracking up, and so on the way to Brett's wedding, he and I were putting random songs on and singing, like starting it up and be like, somebody wants to and Tim was mad. So, anyways, that's that whole story.
It's great.
Welcome
Thank
to
you.
the
And that's your
Rick
Dan
and
Harmon
Bob.
social media minute. If you find something better that Dan Harmon has posted, please let us know. That is it for semi-pertinent news. Thank you for listening to that. If there is some sort of news related to Rick and Morty, Adult Swim, or any of the creative teams that makes the show possible, share it with us. Let us know. Send us an email, things like that. When we come back, we will be analyzing the brand new episode, Season 7, Episode 3, Air Force Wong, right after these messages. Thank you for listening to those messages, assuming you had them. If you don't, well, fortune is on your side, I guess.
Hopefully they were Border Patrol messages, because that's really what our listeners are really keen to hear.
Yeah, we're getting way more cognizant about what types of ads we're getting, or not. Maybe, political season's right around the corner.
Border Patrol and casinos. Those are our main kind of.
Those are our investors.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about a state with, no need for politics, in a segment that we like to call the main thing.
Main thing thing. Main thing. It's a main thing.
Hey, faded out there. Welcome to the main thing, everybody. We are talking yet again about an episode brand new from Season 7. Of course, we're talking about Air Force Wong. The air date of this episode, October 29th, 2023.
Air Force Wong, I get it. You tied them together.
Yep.
That's really great.
Air power. Yeah. Written by Alex Rubens, directed by friend of the podcast, Jacob Hare. Eventually we'll get him on here to talk to us about things.
I do want to mention two things about Alex Rubens and Jacob Hare. So this is what I'm trying to do over at the subreddit. One of the things that we did, we talked about this before, where Adult Swim is giving us the cold opens early, so we can go ahead and put those out there on Friday before anybody else. So go to the Rick and Morty subreddit to see that every Friday. But one of the things I'm trying to do is also kind of guide the conversation also by kind of highlighting the director, the writers, to show like what they've worked on, and maybe give you kind of hints about like maybe what the theme or maybe the style of the episode will be. So in this case, like Jacob Hare, this is his 10th episode of the entire series. He won an Emmy for Vat of Acid. He's nominated for Night Family. And we don't know if he'll add this one to his Emmy list, but it is there. He's done a bunch. This is the 4th episode for Alex Rubens. None of them Emmy nominated, but not the point. Not the point. It's still his 4th. So
Give it time.
Yeah. So that's just to kind of point out some of these folks have been on the show a while. I kind of want to keep doing that, just so you recognize the names and they get the creative credit that they deserve. So anyways, okay.
Absolutely. Pronopsis on this one. Virginia's for lovers, bruh.
Our synopsis is approval ratings only matter if you learn to love yourself.
That's right.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the
Tell me about
truth?
it.
Tell me.
Quite an episode. Again, like I mentioned earlier, back to our normal rhythm. We didn't watch these episodes early. Watched them as they aired. The screener well hath run dry, as it were. So got a chance to watch it last night, marinate on it a little bit, think about it this morning, and I feel like there are definitely some core themes that jump out in this episode. The idea of therapy being a big one, which I think we gathered, we had a feeling about from the time that we saw the title of this episode, Air Force Wong, obviously Dr. Wong, being the family's therapist, really Rick's therapist now, we knew therapy was probably going to factor in somehow in this episode. But they really leaned into it. I feel like they really got after a lot of ideas about therapy and about just sort of mental health and Rick's development as a character. Arguably kind of a heavy episode at times.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're right.
No notes.
That is our episode for. Yeah. No. I mean, I'm trying to discern where I want to go when we're discussing all of this stuff. So we'll go back to like what our prediction was for this. I think this is, for the most part, and time will tell. This is the episode where, like, in our predictions, we're pretty. So far, we're fairly spot on. Like, maybe in like the history of the show of us like predicting episodes, like this is the one that we knew like what was going to happen.
What did we say outside of?
We
call the dome over Virginia?
No, we talked about Virginia, so we knew about like politics, right? We also talked about the president. We also being Air Force One, so that's the president. We talked about Wong, so we knew that she was going to be in it. We also predicted that there was going to be some kind of romance between the two of them. We also I'm pretty sure, if we didn't say it out loud, we predicted that like there might be some static there with the president hooking up with Dr. Wong, and then Rick having a problem with that because she was his therapist.
Yeah.
So from that aspect, I think we had the initial concept out.
Yeah. Well, and we predicted that Unity would show up. So
Go back, totally. Listen.
Go back and listen to our Season 7 Speculation Spectacular.
Download it 7 times. And please get us that one. No. That's what I was going to say was the thing that wasn't something we predicted. We saw in some like those early previews that there was going to be some kind of like alien thing, because we saw the president and Dr. Wong like trying to get on the helicopter, right?
Yeah.
So we knew there was going to be something like that. But I don't think any of us predicted that it was necessarily going to be Unity. Maybe someone on Reddit did, but
that was a huge reveal, but turned out to be, really central to the episode. And I think, in an episode where I'm assuming the writers wanted to take time to deliberately look at Rick and how he's developed as a person, on a just character growth level, his personal growth, bringing back arguably the most important love interest that Rick has had in the series, minus Diane, right? Like, I think this is a good time to bring Unity back and explore some of those ideas again. A lot of evidence throughout this episode showing how Rick has grown as a person, as well as highlight some areas where I think he still needs a lot of work. But like opening the episode with Rick in therapy, right? Like the entire conceit of the Pickle Rick episode, which everybody loves Pickle Rick and thinks about Pickle Rick, but like that was the first therapy episode. He turned himself into a pickle to get out of therapy. And yes, maybe he uses a hologram so that he can find his chips behind the couch, but like he's in therapy now. Like he's reluctantly engaged, but is willing to work on himself and get better. He identifies Dr. Wong as his therapist, right? Like, and as the episode goes on, Dr. Wong is able to kind of step in and speak to the growth, as slow as it may be, that Rick has sort of progressed in, which I didn't realize this until I went back and watched episode 203, the autoerotic assimilation, the original appearance of Unity, that him not being able to change is written out in the notes that she leaves for Rick when she leaves the planet. She says, like, I've realized you can't change, and that's one of the reasons that she can't be with him. So to revisit that with Unity and use her as a character, them as a character, to show how Rick has changed, I think is really interesting and wasn't something that I appreciated initially when I was watching this episode.
Yeah, in your notes, Dr. Wong's notes about him changing slowly. We see that even throughout like the cold open of the episode, things like him getting pissed off about the Scientology thing, and then being like, you know what, worship how you want, right? Even that small admission. A little bit later, when him and Summer go at it and they're arguing, like Summer's just asking him, like, she's asked, she wants to find out how he's doing, and he's kind of like lashing out at her for asking. And then she she slams the door, like, how's this for boundaries? And then, like, under his breath, it's like, sorry. That's not something we've heard from Rick. And then
that's
later,
not season 1 Rick. That's not. Yeah.
And then later she's like, "You didn't even say sorry." He's like, "I said sorry." Like, I didn't hear it
quietly.
Yeah. But like there are those moments of reflecting, and we said this throughout the last couple seasons, where there are like these little hints of him shifting, him finding these little nooks of realization or appreciation for his family, for Jerry, for his daughter, for his grandson and granddaughter, for friends, right? Yeah. Said it early on with like the old man in the seat, with like, we're assholes to the people that like we're like, sometimes we're assholes to our friends even, but like that doesn't mean they're not our friends, or just like that's how we show that we care. We're negging them.
Well, yeah, and I think there's something to be said for like being comfortable with people and being real with people. Like, sometimes you can be the most harsh with the people you care most about because you're the most comfortable with them. Like, you're willing to let down some guards, some walls, some barriers with people that you're comfortable with. Unfortunately, sometimes that can be hurtful, right? But
yeah.
yes.
And I kind of, I think that's going to go. Here's what I think about this therapy, right? Because therapy is like our main bullet for this entire episode. There's like a smaller one with love, but it doesn't matter. It's really for lovers. Self-love even goes into that. But the second part of that is going into like the president, and the president. We've seen the president for many a season, and every episode he's gotten worse and more like the antithesis of Rick and trying to get approval for people. And this episode culminates in that, like, making the subtext very overt, which is like his ego needs massaging. He needs that approval, and it like hits you on the face with it, saying the 100% approval rating. Like, no, this is the internet. Mm-hmm. No, nothing is 100% approval. It makes it very apparent that the president he needs that approval, and he places all of his value in the opinions of others. So I'll pass it over to you, Travis, for your thoughts.
Well, I think like there's a lot of layers to that, right? Because I think there's even in the past rivalries with Rick and how much Rick and the president have gotten at each other. There's also like a mutual respect almost of like, am I a peer to this person? Am I better than this person? Right? Almost like gauging themselves and putting some of their own self-worth in their ability to one up the other, right? And then to another layer, you have this romantic side of the president where he is pursuing Dr. Wong and trying to get female attention and approval in a romantic relationship. And then obviously the political statesman of the president trying to get the nation's approval. And so it's just all of these different like facets of him not being, you know, comfortable with himself and having to seek that approval in everyone else to the point of assimilating his own hive mind to force them to approve of him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we've seen glimpses of that even with Morty, right? Where the go with the lightsaber episode, him wanting Morty's acceptance over Rick's, his approval, and yeah, he backstabs him eventually. Not with a lightsaber because that would kill him, unless you're Ahsoka episode 2, where the one okay, doesn't matter. Stabs a character and then like that character doesn't die. It's Sabine. A spoiler. But you know, like we've seen where the president is like that, where he wants even like on a micro scale approval from Morty or his cabinet or Congress or whatever, right?
The news
and then
anchors.
News anchors, Shonda. Oh shit. Uh, that type of stuff. And so I think that I honestly thought that was a great way of with Unity, with the 100%. I thought that was a really cool way of exploring that character a little bit more, exploring the president and exploring his insecurities about needing approval from so many people. And then maybe almost like from a character growth perspective, he was the one that learned the most from it, right? Where
well, I mean, by the end, he's like, oh shoot, maybe I need to go to therapy, right? Like he's shitting on it at the beginning, and then by the end, he's like, oh, okay, maybe I need this, right? And it's much like Rick, like flashback seasons past, Pickle Rick, all, you know, like he was avoiding therapy. We talk about the growth now that he's you know, accepting of it, but like his personal, you know, respect for himself, his ability to cope with, you know, like I mean trigger warning, right? But like in the last Unity episode, Rick is basically suicidal at the end of that episode. And we look at this episode and Rick is dealing with the same relationship, the same what is the word for unity?
hive mind.
Hive mind. Thank you. And he's able to return to his garage and process that in a very different way than what we saw at the end of, you know, back in season 2. So I
do want to say about like the therapy perspective is, you know, the president gets to the end and then he goes through all this stuff and he goes through the seasons that we've seen him in. Shonda references all of the events that have gone on, right?
Even the turkey people and whatever, like
like it's so cool for like all those callbacks just to say like how shitty a president he's been. And then like his final rejection is Dr. Wong, and him going through all this and being like he's gone through such shit where it's like, okay, maybe I need to talk to somebody after all this, which I mean that's how it, I think that's how it is for a lot of us. Like we have to go through some shit before we're like, you know what? Okay. Maybe, and maybe like in the back of our heads, we're like, you know what? We should probably really talk to somebody. We should talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And it's hard until we go through some kind of what a catalyst, right?
Yeah.
I
A
talk,
canon event, as
I-
they would say in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, streaming tomorrow on Netflix. Not a sponsor.
Ooh, nice. The last thing I'll say about that is like I have somebody close to me. It's not me. I promise. Who
His
like
name is Randon.
it does start with an R, but like where they have like they have gone their entire lives where they're like they have gone through being I know this is gonna sound like I'm talking about myself, but I'm not. I swear. They're introverts, they're shy, their whole life they've been this way, and they're like they've been pushing it off. And then something happens in their life, whether it be health or social related, that they're like they just can't fight it off anymore. And they tell me like I need to go see a therapist. Like they're just something that breaks in folks. And I don't think therapy is bad. I don't know because I go. It doesn't matter.
Well,
That's
and
not,
I think there's going to be a lot of people that look at this episode and they're like, Dan Harmon just wants to talk about therapy for a half hour. I want, high concept sci-fi rigmarole. Yes, I hear you.
I hear
but,
you.
But
Here's in that it's a hive mind. That we talk about.
We did get an episode with a puke heavy hive mind that takes over the state of Virginia, right? Like we did get that. But I think that the way that this show has dealt with therapy has dealt with the topic of mental health and taking care of yourself and being open to growing and working on yourself and improving, I think is really good. And I think if anybody watches this show and goes, I'm dealing with some things and maybe it'd be good for me to talk to somebody, like, I think that's great. And if it means like you didn't like the episode as much, listener, Unity, as we like to call you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like I don't think that dealing with this topic takes away from the show at all.
If it even puts like the smallest seed, like a strawberry seed,
it's like stuck right between your teeth there.
Yeah, and then you take it out. Like I've got like a little crevasse in one of my molars, and I always get like a strawberry seed stuck in there. I'm like,
gotta be a Platters man.
Similarly, if you have a strawberry seed stuck in there and you take it out and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna dry this out. I'm gonna plant it, and then it blooms into like a strawberry plant, right? And that strawberry plant is therapy. Good. If this episode is that strawberry seed in your tooth,
fantastic. Other topics that get discussed in here, they talk about boundaries, boundaries between professional and personal relationships. Whether you're somebody's doctor or you're dating the president. There are also some literal boundaries, whether that's a door to the garage or a giant dome covering the state of Texas.
Yeah,
lots of boundaries happening. Did I say Texas?
State boundaries? Yeah.
State of Virginia. Did I say Texas? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean some of those boundaries they're just figurative, Travis.
They're figurative boundaries, you know what I'm saying?
Gerrymandering. Let's talk about
Moving on. Let's not talk about obviously the state of Virginia is for lovers. We all know it. And this episode talked a lot about love. Dealt with some romantic love, the love between the president, Dr. Wong, whether there was love there or not, the pursuit of a romantic relationship. But also they pair that with Rick's relationship with Unity, and sort of like, you have one side of a romantic relationship where the president and Wong are sort of at the start and they're open to something, but they're not sure if there's something there. And then with the flip side, you have Rick and Unity where they know there's something there, that they've both felt very strongly for each other, but it hasn't worked. And they're sort of like past it in like they're like on the other side of that. So it's a struggle for both couples, but at very different parts of a
Yeah.
relationship.
There's exploration versus maintenance
Reflection
or
and
yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah.
It's yeah, it's like, we like my Helen, my first girlfriend ever in high school. Like I look back, like that's a relationship that we had a long time ago. Look at it fondly. Like that might be more of a, well, maybe not, but like more of a Rick and Unity thing versus like, somebody you meet at the bar and you're like, hey, you want to talk? Maybe let's see if we match, right? And that's where like Dr. Wong through the episode is like, initially she's interested in the president's advances,
Yeah.
and then eventually she's like, you know,
I'm
no,
no longer interested in pursuing this. Yeah.
I don't, yeah, I don't want to pursue this anymore because she's like, nah, I don't, she's done with it. They're not compatible. And so yeah, I mean, I guess that's really all I really have to say about that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like, I think both Rick and Unity show multiple times that they still care for the other person or hive mind,
Yeah.
and to the point of self-sacrifice, in some regards. But at the end of the day, it's not for the point of I'm going to do this so that we will get back together. It's sometimes you're not compatible with a person in that sort of relationship, but
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily mean you like love them any less or like like it's just like. So I think the numerous voicemails to Rick, like Unity left Rick in season 2, but she's the one reaching out because she still cares about him, even if she knows like that's not going to work between them. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of complexity there for a 22-minute cartoon with vomiting
Yeah.
aliens. There's a lot to unpack. Like we could spend another half an hour doing that, but
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something more to explore there. That is, there's something much more nuanced that could, like, if this was like maybe a two-parter or maybe like 10 more minutes, they could flesh out that a little bit more, because like there is a separation between the initial like courting period that the President Wong had versus a much different place in a relationship perspective between Rick and Unity. That's they have history. We don't know all of their history. We know part of their history with autoerotic assimilation, but we don't know the other part of the history. We know that Unity knows about Rick Prime. That's the whole reason she reached out to him. So he had to have reached out to her and talked to her in confidence about how he's going after that. That is probably part of like that whole like drug fueled bender that those experiences that they've had. So there's a clear difference with like zero history, President Wong, a lot of history at Rick and Unity, and the exploration of the different types of love, right? That's our sub bullet for this.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's not just romantic love, right? You have like friend relationships, the love between friends. Rick and the President, is there love? Is there love lost there? Like, is it like they have a very contentious relationship, but I think we can see through the course of this episode too how, as much as they've gotten on each other's nerves or really been at odds, in the end, they kind of find comfort in each other, because as much as they disagree, the power that they hold, like they have that in common, and the responsibility that they feel, and like, so they can kind of only confide in each other in certain things, I think. So I think that's what brings them back together towards the end.
Yeah, on that friend relationship part, it kind of goes back into that need for approval. Both Rick and the president have that need for approval, and like for me, like a very people pleaser, right? And so there is this like kind of sense that like they always need to feel like they're perfect, like they're godlike, that they're the top of the food chain, right?
Yeah.
But they also still want to want that approval from everybody, and that ends up being like a very lonely feeling, to want to feel like you are loved by everybody, because that means you don't really know if you are, and you
Yeah.
don't want to admit to anybody that you might not be. And so it's telling that by the end of the episode, that the president then admits to Rick, the only other person that he can imagine feeling like he is uh, uh, yearning for approval from everybody. Yeah, I guess maybe I need therapy too. And so, and it just takes that one person. And so that's how friend relationships are, uh, with like, to like be able to reach out to somebody. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
So we got our romantic love, we got our
mhm.
friend love, and then we got friends having romantic love with each other.
Yeah.
Which is like a weird, right? So you've got Rick who's connected to Wong, he's connected to President, and then all of a sudden here's those two separate people that are both connected to him coming together
Mm.
to explore something romantically. Rick has two options. He can be supportive, or he can completely like be offended and hurt and try to and try to break it up. He goes with option B in this case. Um, but again, I think that's something where that has echoes back to the first time we saw Unity, right? Where Rick is exploring this relationship with Unity again in stadium full of redheads and people that vaguely look like his father. And, you know, Morty and Summer are lounging, eating burgers, watching a Mount Rushmore be carved of them. And Summer is like completely against this. And Morty's like, it's fine. This is good. Ultimately, we see what plays out in that. But yeah, you can really have those two approaches. Rick definitely wants to keep separate the confidence he has with his therapist, and he doesn't want to jeopardize that for this other relationship that she might be exploring with a person that he's literally gone to war with in the past. So,
There are millions of people, and the president chooses Rick's therapist,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Which, I mean, I think is a fair point from Rick's perspective. Like, come on, man,
yeah,
you anybody, and you go after my therapist. Like, what does that say? Like that? Oh, I need approval from Rick's people too. But anyway, I think that is, for the most part, what we have as far as themes going for this episode. Uh, sorry if you guys thought that I was talking to you as my therapist for a second, but let's go ahead.
This is a safe space, Brandon. This is a safe space.
It's on colleges across the nation, safe spaces, as an essay I helped write says. But anyway, let's get into our favorite bits, Travis. There's lots of favorite bits in this episode.
I mean, there's some. I might
There's
have been grasping at bits a little bit.
straw.
Straw bits, little straw bits that get stuck in your teeth. The first one was the explanation of some crazy off-screen scenario involving a Loch Ness monster, werewolves, a leprechaun thing. I don't know if I would have preferred that as something that we actually saw, or just the weird explanation of it. I thought that was funny.
I like that. I really appreciated that that note. That was my favorite thing from the cold open. Just the explanation that goes a little bit too far, and it's like
Yeah.
this happens, but then this happens, but then. So I dug that. I'm skipping a bullet here, but Mr. Stabby, going back to some interdimensional RSS esque.
Yeah, little interdimensional cable-esque type. Yeah. Yeah.
And then also in the post credit where Mr. Stabby is talking to a Larry King alien.
Yeah.
But like, they wouldn't come if they don't want to see it. If they don't want to be stabbed.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little jab that the president has, where Rick apologizes to the Scientologist and says that he likes Tom Cruise, and then the president saying therapy's working, keep it in your pants. Good line. The crack team that the president has put together, including Flea Flack, who might be able to tell the future. We're still waiting to find out.
We're still waiting.
I
Theory crafters over on Reddit.com, they say, Travis, what do they say?
We like cheeseburgers. No, no. They're assuming that this may point to, because there were some people that were upset there wasn't a payoff in this episode, that there wasn't a Yeti attack in the episode. They're predicting, and I'm with them, that this is actually calling ahead to something that we will see in a future episode. That we'll be able to go back and laugh about Flea Flack.
In mini serialization.
In the promotional poster, the still image for this season, it's the one with all the
spaghetti.
Like, it's got spaghetti in the background, but this is the image I want to. Okay, that's gonna start playing a YouTube video. That's not what I wanted.
How do you automate your whole?
Stop
Don't do that.
it. Okay.
Not for our audio.
Anyway, there's there's a. It's got all the spaghetti, but there's like Rick Prime's face in the background, and then there's like Mr. Poopy Butthole is to one side, and then there's like a Yeti on the other side. So
Isn't there a Yeti that Morty is licking his nostril?
oh, in the trailer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is happening. So yeah, flash forward to a Yeti, the Yeti episode.
Yeti-esque. Morty's licking a Yeti-esque nostril. So we'll see if Flea Flack is actually able to tell the future.
Yeah,
on a future
we're waiting to find out.
Let's see. Let's see. When they go to Virginia, the president and Dr. Wong, going to the mayor of Virginia, and Virginia saying like you can't come in here, and then saying the last time a state talked that way, we had to have a whole thing. They ask and then Dr. Wong says, and this time the other side has nukes.
Yeah,
which is also true. Which is
fair
true.
statement. It's fair.
If old Abe Lincoln had some nukes, I mean, this whole slavery thing would have been done years
an effective deterrent. That's all I'm saying.
The nuclear triad. It's the nuclear surety.
Let's break it down. I really like the kind of throwaway line when they go into Virginia and they all start puking in each other's mouths, and the president just says, "Wait, you're all just drunk?" Like, as he's trying to process the situation. I thought that was good.
I do love that this line. Rick, are you in a relationship with the population of Virginia?
We dated.
That line is wonderfully executed in and of itself, and I love it. I laugh at that one.
I wrote in here something about Rick's business metaphor, but I've already forgotten what that's referring to, so it's no longer a favorite bit.
Relevant.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so you have Civil War, baby, with the president in the helicopter, but that's not the line that I really love out of that. It's like, oh, I thought it was suppressive fire.
Yeah,
As
that
he's
fire was
shooting-
supposed to be suppressive. Sorry.
He's shooting into the crowd and just killing a bunch of Unity-controlled people.
That's terrible. It's so bad. As Unity is explaining what would happen to the members of the hive mind that were cut off under the dome, Rick scolds her, saying, "You made a PowerPoint." But she wanted to show how important it was, and there's no way to show how important something is without making a PowerPoint.
And let me just shout out to all of those PowerPoint warriors out there. Look, you are the real MVPs because PowerPoint, people make fun of PowerPoint, but it ain't easy all the time, especially if you want like solid animations. If you got to work on the timing, right? Because sometimes if you go to the next slide and you're in the slideshow and the timing's off, like maybe like your third or fourth bullet will show up before the first bullet, and then everything is messed up. And then if you forget that there's timing, animated timing for like, bullets sliding in from left to right or like dissolving into it, you might be like, oh shoot, there's supposed to be something here on this blank slide, and then all of a sudden, like 10 seconds later, it appears. If you don't remember that, it's gonna make your presentation feel very disjointed, and it's not gonna get your message across. So shout out to Unity for making a solid PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, kudos. Also, a big shout out to the reporter who was covering the president hive mind as the barrier went down. I just love his energy as like, all these people are running towards us, heartfelt, almost disgusting kisses, and now the kissing people are kissing other people. The wave of affection is headed in all directions. Like, yeah, I don't know. I love the president. He's great. President. Yes.
You don't. I'm looking down here, so I'm gonna throw this one out there. When the first time we meet Shonda and the other TV anchor, and he's like, "I want to pass it to Shonda," and then she immediately talks shit about the president, and he's like, "Oh shit!" that oh shit line got me and Chelsea.
Yep. That one's really good. There's a moment where Morty comes into the garage after Unity leaves, and Morty's like, "Oh, it's about Unity." Rick says she's gone, and I don't care. As soon as Morty says, "I think she's back," Rick like immediately turns around and has that like dumb Rick face with like the swoopy lips or whatever, and stuff like huh, like immediately from saying that he doesn't care to immediately showing how much he does actually care. I thought that was pretty good. I also like Rick's therapist straight up telling him he's wrong when in the conversation with Unity when they're on Unity's ship. I thought that was good.
Much as a metaphor for zombieism, when Unity gives up everybody, everyone pulls out their cell phone, gets in traffic, and looks up the top 10 literally popular things to low-key love. Which how accurate is that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back.
That's our society. And then obviously the line at the end, "Don't take this the wrong way, but I think I might need therapy." Wrapping up an episode that, if I'm being totally honest, will not go down in the history as one of the funniest episodes.
I want you to be honest, Travis. I want you to be honest.
If I'm honest. I mean, this is a safe space.
If you're honest.
I don't know that this will go down as even much of like a classic episode. I don't know that it lives up to the original Unity episode. But if I had to say what one of my favorite things about this episode was, it's definitely the return of Unity. I mean, Unity, we love you guys. We refer to you all the time on this podcast, but I think it was a cool character to bring back, and I definitely wasn't expecting it until right kind of when the reveal happened. So yeah, I think it was a cool way to bring Unity back and show some of that connection to Rick's past as well.
Yeah. We have on here the parallel in Rick's garage versus this episode versus autoerotic assimilation.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I thought that was
Yeah.
a really nifty way of being like, this is where he is now versus how he was back then. And if you watch those two scenes, you kind of expect him to go into the refrigerator in the back and like be kind of suicidal, but instead he's like pulling out beer, right? He's not even pulling out like a flask of hard alcohol, which, look, small improvements. he's
or sniffing some sort of crystals or something. Like,
yeah. And listening to the voice messages till he gets to David Miscavige. But yeah, like I like that little bit of the episode.
Yeah, and sort of that really solitary action that he takes in season 2, he instead chooses to go and share that 6-pack with somebody else, right? And he goes and spends that time with the president, right? And so in terms of growth, in terms of development, I that was one of my favorite parts of the episode. Not necessarily a best part, not necessarily a worst part, but an observation. 3 episodes into this season, 3rd week without a B plot structure.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this, Brandon? I know some of these episodes feel a little bit different, a little I don't know. Like I don't want to be one of those people that's like, oh, the show's changed, the show's not the same. But it really didn't jump out to me until I went back and was watching 203, where you have that whole B plot of Beth and Jerry going down underneath Rick's garage and finding the giant monster down there that has some form of space aids. But there's like a whole B plot of that episode, and yeah, that's not the part of the episode that we talk about mostly when we reflect on that episode. But a lot of B plots in Rick and Morty have some of our favorite stuff in it, really. And so I'm curious if this is just wholly a new direction that the writing team is going in, where they really just want to focus on singular, topics for episodes, or if there is going to be some sort of back and forth, and it just so happens that these first 3 episodes just aren't focusing on other members of the family.
Well, I mean, I'll say with the Jaricki episode, the Jarek trap, to a certain extent, the Morty stuff with the gangsters, that was B plot, right? Maybe
Sure,
it wasn't
to a degree.
Maybe it wasn't A grade B plot, right? But it was B plot, and then eventually everything comes together, right? Where Ricky comes, and then so the A plot and the B plot, they merge, they synergize, and then there's a conclusion to
Yeah, I
it all.
guess I didn't really give enough credit to the rake situation, which was always there, ever present.
That's a more of a C plot thing,
Sure,
right?
sure.
It's more of like a story envelope, rake envelope. But as far as this one, yeah, like there's not a whole lot of B plot. I would say that until we see the rest of the season, how the rest of the season goes, knowing kind of the behind the scenes with voice changes and we don't know when Harry Belden came in to start doing a lot more Morty. Maybe he started off with episodes that were less Morty centric. But we also have the show is called Rick and Morty, of course, but Summer, there hasn't been a whole lot of Summer. There hasn't been a whole lot of Beth. So there's those characters that haven't gotten a lot of attention either.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's what I'm saying, I think, is that episodes way in the past, you would have sort of like a core Rick and Morty adventure happening. and then that would be paralleled with like Summer having a new job, or like, you know, Beth and Jerry having an argument, right? Or like, and so there would be development, or there would be some sort of other thing happening where we would see the other family members and they'd have their own sort of less dramatic or like less sci-fi type storyline, while Rick and Morty are off on some crazy planet doing something.
But I think most of the fan kind of critique is that there's not enough Morty yet.
I concur.
Yeah, and going into the Reddit, right? The subreddit is the top comments for the discussion post for this latest episode. The first one is, it's been 3 episodes and Rick hasn't gone on any adventures with Morty. The next top is, where's Morty? The third one is like, where's Morty? And so
I really enjoyed Morty's cameo in this episode. It was one of the ones I saw.
So there's a lot of that, and I do understand that, but I'm also trying to understand like why is that from a episode kind of release schedule, and it's not just because like we want to tell a story that is like this. There's behind the scenes stuff that we all know about it that I'm like, well, this had to influence some of the decision making.
It could have. It definitely. This could be sort of still second, third order effects of the recast and stuff like that, and maybe they didn't know if they were going to have a Morty in time or something like that. But I mean, I don't know. I hope they're not making it the Rick show. Like it is Rick and Morty. Like I think, and to an extent, like it's the Smith family. Like it's all of them, and they've all become super important to the show. So I haven't lost faith in the writers. I haven't lost faith in the showrunners. Like I definitely think we'll get there, but it's just an observation in the early part of this season.
Yes, for sure. So I want to talk about a we didn't write it down, best worst parts. One thing I took a little bit of an issue with, Travis, and we won't harp on this for too long, but one thing I actually had an issue with, I just hit my mic, is
he's real fired up, everybody.
is the Rick, I know this betrays therapy, but I think you're wrong. That part I kind of have an issue with, right? Because I know what we're talking about it on a like a United States scale where he made a mistake and it caused a major issue. But like, is he wrong? That's the real question here. Like, is he wrong to have been like, she broke my heart, she dumped me, I'm going now to be like, I don't need to listen to her voicemails because I need to I need to know who I am and I need to respect myself, and she's the one who left me, right? I understand she cares about me, but like, why would I pick up her messages or listen to her messages? And so like for Wong to say, Rick, I think you're wrong, is like that kind, and she even points it out, like that betrays the therapy point of like trying to understand like what are the motivations for everybody that's in therapy. Like, why are they making those decisions? It's not because they're bad people. It's because they're making decisions that are the best for them at the time that they're making them.
Yeah. I'm not gonna tell you you're wrong.
Look, you're a better therapist than Wong. No, I'm not saying that.
Well, how do
Susan
you feel?
Sarandon?
How do you feel about eating your own shit?
Every Tuesday and Thursday. I have Tuesday and Thursday shit night.
I do find it interesting that if Rick had just listened to his voicemail, the entire arc of this episode goes away. Like, if he had listened to his voicemail and just heard what Unity was saying on the voicemail. Not even responded necessarily. Like, he would know she was in Virginia. He would know, he would know all of those things. So,
But so let me ask you this, Travis. Whether or not he knew that she was in Virginia, maybe he never knew it was Unity. The president, he gets absorbed into Unity,
yeah.
right? Why is she doing that at that point in time? Why is she taking over the whole of Virginia? Why is she taking over anybody? Why is she doing it
Because she cares.
Against
cares,
her
Brandon.
because she cares. Because she's doing what she thinks is right in the moment. But that to say that like none of this would happen if if Rick had just listened to his voicemail. Well, she didn't have to make those decisions to put them in that position where the president would eventually take over the hive mind and everything like
and
that.
I think this is a great time to talk about our Patreon only post show. For folks that subscribe at our second tier or higher on Patreon, catch bonus content only available at patreon.com/apathetic enthusiasm, where I have a feeling this conversation is going to continue, or we will talk about something completely different.
Loki season 2.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But before we get to that, we have just a little bit of time for some listener suggestions and short outs. Brandon, I don't know if you have any. I wanted to short out somebody from over on YouTube. This was a comment, and I'm not going to read the whole comment. That's what we call in the biz a teaser. You got to head over to the YouTube to read the rest of the comment. But this is from @TBobbyElectric. My cheeks and gut are still aching from the just kind of stupid laughs from this episode. It was excellent. However, I refuse to believe there's such a thing as a not amazing / hilarious / gut busting, cheek shredding / episode of the official greatest cartoon type program ever in the history of each universe that I've ever spent any kind of time in, personally, at least, ... Oh yeah, you dudes are all right by me.
Okay, all right, yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, anyway, big
I'll
thanks
accept all right.
to T Bobby Electric. Much more where that comes from, but go check that out over in the comment section underneath last week's video. And while you're there, leave a comment on this video. Why not?
Yeah, please do. And let you all know that I'm gonna try to go to the subreddit and pull out a comment that I like, to then comment on the air. On the air? That's a radio thing. Doesn't matter. Yeah. It's a podcast. This one is by Berto Bellamy, posted 23 hours ago as of right now. Men will literally date their therapists instead of going to therapy. Upvoted 404 times. So anyways, Berto Bellamy, congratulations to you. You get I scrolled down randomly and I found a core comment of the week.
There it is. All right. Thank you, everybody that continues to listen, watch, subscribe, do all of those things for this podcast. We're glad you're here. We'll be back next week with another episode. Happy Halloween if you're listening to this on the last day of Spooktober. And yeah, hope you're having a safe fall, I guess. I don't know. It's getting cold here. That's it. I'm done. Thanks for listening. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.